Season 4 has been one filled with drama and action, with triumph and heartbreak, and with highs and lows. This afternoon, some of the top Mazda MX-5 drivers in all of iRacing will look to channel all those thoughts and feelings into the second last round of the campaign at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. For many, their skills will be challenged by its 180 feet of elevation changes, or its always terrifying corkscrew. Who will come up on top on this jewel of a road course? We're about to find out here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome everyone to today's edition of the GTR Countdown to Green. Live from the virtual WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca, and Monterey, California for round number 8 of Season 4 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth today is Ryan Jones. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Today's pre-race coverage is presented by GSRC Simulator. GSRC's racing simulators are currently used as training aids for professional race car drivers. You too can learn to ace that braking, sharpen those corners, and shave off those vital seconds. Whether you're a professional driver or a gamer looking for a more immersive way to play, GTR has your back. Get started today at GSRsimulator.com. Now, what's the best way to tackle this circuit? Let's take a look at the GSRC lap guide to find out.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
That was a look at your GSRC lap guide for the best way around WeatherTech Laguna Seca. Now, let's bring in Ryan Jones. What else can you add in terms of this very difficult racetrack for today's event?
Well, Laguna Seca is a track that pretty much everyone on the iRacing service knows because it's a part of that base content and it's used in the rookie MX-5 series that every single driver starts out their iRacing career in. It's a great place for overtaking though. There's 11 corners and you can overtake at almost all of them. Great opportunities down at turn 2, the Andretti hairpin at the end of that long main straight. Great chances at turns 3, 5, 10 and 11 as well. But saying that, from what we've seen this season, I won't be surprised at all to see some wild moves into every single one of the corners at this 2.2 mile racetrack. We should see some great racing today and every chance of yet another grandstand finish.
Gonna be curious to see who keeps their cars the cleanest as well, especially with the corkscrew as well as the potential danger spots in turn 11 and the Andretti hairpin. But there's a lot to talk about. First, let's take a look at how your driver's championship is shaping out. There's a lot to go through with this because Robert Hartley has a 42-point lead. Clifford Evans in third with 63 points back, while Eric Hyrule is in 88 points back. Yoni Hagner has 91 points behind the leader in 5th. However, Hartley does have drops in terms of some of the points in regards to that 146. That means the lead is technically just 25. Every other driver, though, has either 0 point or no-show drops. In other words, Robert Hartley, if he gets a good race today, could potentially clinch the championship heading into the season finale. However, Ryan, let's take a look at those race details because for the fans tuning in for the first time, there's a bit to go through in terms of that regard.
It is the penultimate round of the championship today. It's a fixed setup series to level the playing field and make sure the driver is the difference out there. Fuel limited to 3.3 gallons, 12.5 litres, and go around 25 minutes on a tank. Top 15 score points. You get 2 fast repairs or spare cars if you run into some trouble, and you have a 20 incident limit. So you can't afford to run into too much trouble, or you will get yourself disqualified from the race.
Let's take a look at your track conditions for today. It is a late evening start. And as you can see, the sun's starting to set with the 78 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity going to affect the corner exit speed a bit, 56% at 29 inches of HG rising for today's race. It should be an eventful one here, Ryan, though, in terms of action, despite a smaller field, one of the smallest fields in the history of the series, it should be interesting. One thing to note, though, some of these drivers might also deal with fatigue today because yesterday was the 24 hours of Daytona.
Yeah, and I think that is the reason we've got such a smaller field today as well, because a lot of the drivers that run in this series are very, very fast on iRacing in general, some high R ratings involved, so they would have been running the 24-hour for sure. And sometimes it's time for a little break after a big event like that, because you spend so much time preparing for it and then running in it as well. It takes it out of you, and nonetheless, we've still got some very talented drivers out there today, and all the championship contenders are still there, so it should be a great race. It's often hard to sort of see what's happening when there's a 60-car field, so it's actually nice for a smaller field. We can actually see everything that happens on track.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. They did a practice race just before this where at this track position was key, but it was also hard to draft up with the distances. Let's take a look at the qualifying details presented by SH8 Shifter first, where it is 15 minutes of qualifying. At the moment, you see up on your screen, times on the left side on the pylon. They'll have 4 laps to get around the track. It is long qualifying for these drivers. Currently, the fastest time, Robert Hartley with a 1:38.890, followed by Vicente Salas, James Sharp, Clifford Evan, and Kenny Brady, your top 5 in qualifying. So it's a track where you want to have good track position, because while there's good passing opportunities, it's not so much a drafting track other than the front straightaway today.
Yes, certainly. We've seen so many drafting tracks this season which have provided fantastic racing, and this is a slightly different challenge for the drivers. Got to make sure that they find that time around the tight and twisty sections of the track, because that slipstream can keep you in play even if you're a tenth or two slower a lap in terms of overall lap time. You get it back down that down the straights. And today, you're not going to have that opportunity, so you've really got to be prepared and make sure you're not making any mistakes on this track. And with that dirt and sand and dust lining the sides of the track, it's very easy to make those sorts of mistakes.
Indeed here. Let's take a look at Torres right now as he goes through his qualifying laps. Currently 6th on the pylon, moves himself up to 4th with a 1:39.116 on his final flying lap. So that gets him up in good track position, needing some good points today. 4 drivers yet to record times. Gary Anderson, Hakeem Kadiri, Andrew Horsley, and Andreas Prado for today's action. Looking at Anthony Burrows, he's currently in 16th. In terms of practicing now for the race, Nico Kako just moved up to P number 20 as well on the board. A lot of the drivers finishing up their 4th laps here. What else should we keep in mind in terms of this racetrack today as we close into the final 5 minutes of the session?
Just keeping up as well, because as we know, the Big C's Challenge Series, the race starts towards the end of the day where the sun's starting to set, so you go through a little bit of track temperature change, and the actual dynamic of the track changes, and it becomes easier to drive on, or sometimes harder to drive on as well. So just keeping up with that over the course of a short 40-minute race. It won't change too much, but maybe just enough to affect a bit of the driving, just that little bit.
Indeed. Who are some of the drivers you feel this track might lean strength-wise towards for today's event?
Well, it was last round. We interviewed DJ Alessandrini at the end of the race, and he told us that Robert Hartley was an absolute beast at this racetrack. Hartley himself didn't quite exuberate that same confidence, but nonetheless, I think Hartley is going to be someone to definitely watch out for in terms of that. We know he's fast. He's leading the championship. But in saying that, he said last week that he would have been happy to just sit back and forth and claim those points. And today, when he can possibly clinch the championship, it'd be interesting to see how he plays that balance of aggressiveness versus conservation as well.
Indeed, should note that the car total has increased as qualifying has gone on. Drivers bring their cars into the paddock. 31 total are now set for today's game. Today's race, I should rather say. Pardon me, their apologies there. Adam Marek is now getting onto the racetrack for his qualified laps. As you follow along with one of the drivers looking to move up the running order, this is Olivier Valor getting up to 24th position in the Sim Hub machine. He's now into his fourth lap as Hawkins flying.
Brendan Hawkins had his final lap of qualifying, moved himself up from 8th place up into the top 5 there in 5th of the 39.244, so great final effort from him. And a lot of the drivers in the top 10 have done all 4 of their qualifying laps, it seems.
Yes, indeed. Right now, one of the last drivers currently is Preto, who's looking to complete some times. He was very quick in that practice race I was referring to, where he had speed, one of the fastest practice speeds, didn't have so much luck in the event, and not so much luck in qualifying, just a P12 run, 139.690 on the board. Gary Anderson, meanwhile, has just started his second flying lap. This is a track, though, we should note where it could be tough with incident points. There is a 20 incident limit cap in this series, as discussed a little bit before, but it's one where you might have the chance of incidents such as this one, such as that one, or end up getting into the dirt and say the corkscrew. It could be difficult to stay on the circuit today.
Yeah, it can be as well. Once you make that mistake and you get out into those dusty, dirty areas, the car takes off and very hard to wrestle it back. Whereas if we're on a track with a lot of runoff, such as like Circuit of the Americas, where it's just lined with pavement, you can make a mistake and run a bit wide and just jump back onto the racetrack. So you've really got to be on your A game. If you make a mistake, it's so easy for a small bit of running just a little bit wide off the exit to turn into a car on the fence and big damage.
Indeed, some of the drivers finishing up their lap time still on the track. Largo is one of them, as he's got a bit of damage on this run and just got a potential 1x that time by clipping the sand off of turn number 10. It's not been a good run for the 593, and this is a track where we've seen a bit of damage for some of these cars, we should note, on their left front fender specifically as the race progressed in practice at about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, that's an interesting one. It can obviously come from car contact, but maybe striking some of the curbs a bit too hard can just push up the wheel into the fender and cause some damage to it. Laguna Seca is not a track I've typically associated with big, heavy curbs, though. There are a few of the sausage curbs on the inside of the apexes that can unsettle the curb just a bit. Turn 2, Andretti Hairpin's got one. I believe there's one up at turn 5 as well.
One of the last drivers trying to record a time to before the end of the session is Adam Merrick. His 77 machine looking very nice and spiffy today in that matte / chromish metal dark bluish gray. But it's a 146.53 in 23rd position. Not enough time to get a second attempt around the circuit. Last the cars getting around the circuit. Remember, these drivers are setting up the Sim Racing Studio starting grid. Want to enhance your sim racing experience but don't feel like spending hours doing it? Sim Racing Studio creates a plug-and-race sim racing accessories and software to enhance your experience without any DIY effort. Go to simracingstudio.com for more information. Time has run on the session, but on a somber note, there is one thing the drivers will be doing before the start of today's race. As many people may know, the iRacing family lost a member, unfortunately, last weekend. Martin Solari from Williams Esports passed away from cancer at the age of 42. He finished P9 in the 2017 BGT WCS. In 2017, had cancer for 4 years. His wife had reached out to the community to thank both the team and sim racing community as a whole. He leaves a daughter, Martina, and teams from across the entire iRace community ran logos and ran a parade lap during the 24 hours of Daytona yesterday. Logos will be on the cars today. With that, we'll give a moment of silence to respect Martin Solari. Thank you. With that, it's time to take a look at your starting grid for today's round. For the drivers, they're all set to go with Robert Hartley leading them to the green flag, the only driver of the 138s with a 138.890. Vicente Salas starts in second. He looks to try and get a good finish after running out of fuel at Monza a few weeks ago. James Sharp starts in third with Torres in fourth. Brendan Hawkins in fifth, Clifford Evan in P number 6. Real Fort, Kenny Brady, and Shishi Ishimalu starts in 8th. He was one of the fastest cars in practice. Juan Manuel Fernandez and Steven Van Opstrow round out your top 10, Ryan.
Fernando Signoreto starts from 11th ahead of Andreas Prieto in 12th. Rory Coimbra in 13th and Juan Francois Pina in 14th. David Kalb starts from 15th place with Christina Nazarick alongside him. Jonas Serga and Anthony Burrows 17th and 18th. The top 20 rounded out by Emilio Lago and Jose Velasquez.
Summit Apolline starts 21st, Nico Kakko 22nd. The rest of the drivers score up on your screen as they're all set to go for the green lights. Green lights are out. We're underway from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. And already drivers off towards a good start into towards the Andretti hairpin, looking to fight for position already for second on back. Side by side for the race lead already as Salas tries to attack the outside, goes back to single file.
He was just on the wrong side of the track there to get that one done. He had a great launch off the line, carried it all the way down to turn 1, but unfortunately a double left-hander not conducive to a move around the outside for him there. James Sharp has retained the top, in fact the top 10 pretty much remain unchanged as they go side by side. Clifford Evans losing out now to Duran Damas Torres, who goes through before they even reach the braking zone there into turn 5.
And already most of the field already single file here. So just trying to get a rhythm. And this is going to get interesting to see who makes some of the aggressive moves today. Already these drivers trying to prepare rhythm. Already a couple of them you see. And Fernandez off into the sand. This is off of turn number 6 down the Ray Hall straight. He is very slow. As we continue to follow along with the race leaders. He dropped from 9th all the way to the back end of the field. One car also spins at the top of the corkscrew as they make their way down the rest zone.
Yeah, Fernandez coming through turn 6, went a little bit wide, dropped some tyres off into the dirt, and that car spun down to the inside, did a great job not to hit the inside fence, and gathered it up, albeit very slowly, trying to get back onto the racing surface, and he has slotted down all the way into the 20s. Oh, there's a big check up, another spinner out of the final corner too. That's Juan Francois Pina who's gone around, coming out of turn number 11. He too misses the fence, but also drops a bucket load of time.
That was the 14th place car as the rest of the drivers complete the first lap. Estimated distance today about 25 laps to go for these drivers. It has been close in past rounds as drivers have changed up fuel strategy from the first half of the season to the second half of the season. But most of the drivers already off to a calm start. As we continue to roll along, the battle for first sees Salas pull away a bit from P number 3 from the 2 Movado Sim Racing machines. He looked pretty good in practice and is looking to try and attack Hartley here early.
Yeah, he is, and right down throughout the field, a lot of drivers struggling early on for some grip out there. A lot of drivers finding the dirt on the outside of the track, and if not spitting, going for some pretty wild slides. Top half, or the top half a dozen cars seem to have got their cars pretty much sorted out. They know where the grip is, where the limit of the car is in the early laps. As I say that, Brendan Hawken just saw James Sharp. Brendan Hawken himself went for a wild moment coming out of the corkscrew and was overtaken by Torres. Now under pressure from Clifford Even too. Got that car right out sideways as he tried to get it back to the right-hand side of the track.
Looking for the back end of Torres at the moment. Slow run by Sharp off the corner. He's now trying to go for the pass for P number 3. has the run as he makes his way down past the start and finish line up into a possible podium spot goes Torres for the time being. The thing is, though, they are currently running about a second or so slower, P3 on back is, than the top two at the moment with all the fighting.
Yeah, they're 2.5 seconds behind them already, just 3 laps into the race, so definitely dropping a bit more time than they'd be wanting to right now, but Torres has got himself up into that 3rd spot now. He's got no one in front of him. He can try and chase down Vicente Salas and potentially Robert Hartley. As long as he keeps that car straight, doesn't make any mistakes, we'll see whether he's got the pace to do it.
Indeed here, especially since there's about 35 minutes of racing action to go up on the clock. Following along still with the train for P number 3. This is one of the toughest parts because this track dips on down as you pass by turn number 6's apex. Lead, though, has seen Salas take the lead away because that same corner referred to, Hartley overran it and went in the sand down the Rahal straight. Let's see if we can take a look at this one as he overran the exit all the way into the sand.
Not the first time he's done that either. Done that multiple times already in the race, but that lap by, you'll see here, he has just completely overcooked the corner and run straight off into the gravel. And once you're out there, there's nothing you can do. Got it gathered up, lost a lot of time, but now Salas has gone by him, and Hartley's going to have to sort out that corner because he's made that mistake every single lap, I think.
Now 1.5 seconds lost from that mistake, and now Salas is in the race lead for the time being. And for him, it's a race of redemption. The last time we've seen him up towards the front, Monza, he and the rest of the field changed things up strategy-wise after some incidents. Hit at the 25-minute to go mark. He ran out of fuel on the final lap of the race, and what could have been a top 5 finish ended up seeing him fall down the running order. This is a race where I think he definitely feels like he might be able to come away with the victory if he can keep the car clean today.
Yes, certainly. Again, through attrition in that race, he was involved in the crash that made him pit that lap early. So if we want to keep a clean car today to avoid that issue again, he's definitely got the pace. We know that. He qualified 2nd, of course, so now he's just got to deal with the pressure here of Robert Hartley pressuring him, because it seemed that in terms of race pace, Hartley just had the edge, certainly in the early laps anyway. So Torres is coming too. He's now on the back of these drivers, so that little move really assisted Torres in his quest to get up to the top 2 spots. And let's see whether Salas has got any more pace in that car, whether Hartley is just going to regather his thoughts, regain that composure. Because when you make a mistake like that, you lose the lead of the race. It can just get to you mentally a bit as well, because you start to go into a little bit of panic mode and start panicking. You want to get that lead back as soon as possible, but you just need to regain your composure, then start attacking. You've still got over half the race to go.
Might be a panic moment, though, for P number 14. This is one of the RSR Esport machines. They took a hard hit after also overrunning the exit at turn number 6 and hooking hard to the left in towards the concrete wall on the left side of the track.
And that's what we saw Fernandez do on the first lap as well. Fernandez, though, did keep it off that inside wall. And Velasquez here, showing us just how easy it is to have your day ruined at the Laguna Seca circuit. He'll come down, get a fast repair, get a new car, but unfortunately way too early to make it home to the end on fuel.
Yes, indeed, but things are starting to get interesting. First, you got that train of 3 cars where Torres has been able to catch up. Then you got the second train of cars who have now organized themselves and are now some of the faster cars on the track. James Sharp leading that group for
Oh, then Opstal. Opstal's had a big crash, and I think that is through turn 6. And we'll have an onboard replay here of Van Opstal. And he's done exactly the same as Velasquez and Fernandez, except he saved the car and overcorrected, and it snaps back to the right and straight into the outside tire bundle, excuse me. And he too, big damage. We'll need a spare car, and we'll go back to the lead because it's still heating up.
As mentioned, Torres was able to close them in, was the fastest car the whole race last time by with 138.830. Can hardly make the move, or what you like to say, fuel. Looks like it's the latter for the time being. So this could get interesting because not only that, the whole entire field is now closing into this train. So just like that, as seen in the practice race, it's not a major gain with the help of the draft for the drivers behind. It's about a tenth of a second gain, but it means one thing. The field might have a hard time breaking the toe or breaking away unless they really have a mistake cause someone to slow up the rest of the cars or a fight.
Yeah, well, too, when you have tracks that are sort of more technical than slipstream focused, and drivers have to go side by side in the corners to make moves stick, you slow yourself down dramatically, and that too makes the field bunch up and close up quite significantly as well, as if you're on a slipstreaming track. Because if you make a move down a straight, you're both going the same speed, you're not losing any time. In the corners though, you can lose sometimes even 20 to 30 kilometers of an hour having to maintain a tighter line through the corner.
Yeah, that time Hartley matching tire line for tire line with Vicente Salas as the Underground Racing Esports team driver works his way through turn number 10, leading this field here. Now it's going to get to the interesting part. We're about 5 minutes away until where you can open up the pit window. We've seen the past couple rounds, drivers pit at 25 to 23 minutes to go, rather than, say, going all the way to empty. We've seen that at Monza, we've seen that at Road Atlanta. When do you think we see the drivers start to make the way to the pit lane and mix up the strategies?
It's hard to tell, really, because we're not at a slipstreaming track where they can save a little bit of fuel, potentially want to pit early, get out of the slipstream of the cars behind them if you're the leader. It's tough on, but I think we'll probably see them come in as soon as they can, because you want to be running that tank as empty as possible at the end of the race. You want as much time in the car as possible.
Oh, trouble for P9's battle. Prado in trouble. Also one more in the sand, it's Signoretto. Fernando Signoretto's 84 machine was in 9th position, and then a car elected to try and make the move instead, hit the right rear, collected that Red Bull machine you see at the back end of the...
Yeah, Pietro was never really up there enough to make that move stick, and Signoretto, rightly so, was coming out to take his line and unfortunately make that contact. And good avoidance too from Rory Coimbra to pretty much get through that one unscathed. Maybe a little bit of contact, but he gets through that, loses his spot to David Culp. He'll continue on his way though.
Yeah, minimal damage it looks like on the 78, but David Cobb does have the right front headlight with a bit of a dent on it and a bit of a slide as he hit the dirt in through the rainy curve. As this is getting a little bit dicey in terms of that battle. That is currently, at the moment, about 8 seconds behind the 7th and 8th train of Kenny Brady and Shiashi Ishimaru. Black flag for Prado, by the way, for that contact. That is for avoidable contact with the 84 machine. First offense for the race.
Torres has just made a very decisive move past Robert Hartley to move up into P2 under brakes. We'll get a replay up on screen here. It was on the brakes into the Andretti hairpin and ran a little bit wide. Hartley saw it coming, but he was probably a little bit far back in my opinion, but got it done, got it pulled up, no contact made, and goes through, and now we'll try to chase down the race leader, Vicente Salas.
That lost him about 0.8 of a second, but Torres, he knows the situation. He needs to get a great finish today to have any shot of the championship during the season finale at Summit Point, because that 25-point advantage, a win is 30 points and goes down the pecking order from there essentially for the top 15 in points. So it needs to be a perfect race today if you're Torres.
It does, and he DNF'd last time out at Road Atlanta as well, so he's had that race where things haven't gone his way. It put the championship a lot harder, put it a lot further out of his reach than it might have been if he'd finished in the top 15. But it's still definitely possible, and the important thing is in sim racing and motorsport in general, never to give up, because you never know what can happen. Generally everything will happen. And we've seen many times across sim racing and the real world that championships are decided in the final race with some crazy events. When it comes down to the final race, you just get that little nagging thought in the back of your mind, and sometimes you do things you wouldn't normally do, and it can lead to some crazy moments. There's Salas right a bit wide there through turn 1.
Torres looking to take advantage. Off to the sand goes Salas. Able to still hold on to the advantage though as they work their way through turn number 3. This is where he actually spun the car out in that practice race on the opening lap. Ended up not finishing that event after slamming the wall on the inside, on the right side of the racetrack rather. Salas though able to still hold on to this advantage. Hartley still maintaining the draft as he gets the deepest of the entries of that top 3 at the moment. Torres, at this point, what do you do if you're him? Because he's the fastest car on the racetrack at the moment. Do you just stay behind Salas and save fuel? Or do you try and take advantage of being, well, the quickest car on the track?
Well, I think he needs to get by Salas. If he's that fast, get by him, open up a gap, remove yourself from the danger of being around other cars, and eliminate that factor, because if you're him, you know you basically need to win the race to keep the championship hopes alive. So I think get by him, get ahead, and then just hit your marks, don't make any mistakes, or pit now, or pit in the next lap even, and try to move yourself that way and just go back in the pack and put yourself off cycle just a little bit.
Headlights are on for the race cars now here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with 25 minutes on the clock. Again, for those just tuning in, it is a top 6 breakaway. James Sharp, Brandon Hawken, and Clifford Evan are still holding on to the draft of that top 3 and could turn it into a 6-car battle if they time it up right or keep on working together 4th on back. Could get interesting to see how this will all shape up in this train. Speaking of trains, there is one forming up for 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You also have one starting to form for 14th, 15th, and 16th, along with 17th on the racetrack. So the choo-choo trains are starting to form up here just before the pit window opens up, as Salas opens up the bottom. Torres takes advantage. He gets the run, heading towards turn number 6. Could get dicey as they make the run. Torres holds on, goes off into the sand, gets loose, able to hold it onto the racetrack, but Salas takes the lead back. Here comes Hartley for P2 as they enter the corkscrew.
Oh, they totally made contact there too on entry. Hartley and Torres just avoided it, but Hartley will take P2 back, and Torres just a little bit too eager into turn number 6 and off into the gravel, loses all the hard work he had put in and now has to do it all over again. It all stemmed from him just poking the nose up the inside at turn 5. It made Salas just check up a little bit on his turn in, ran a bit wide, and that opened the door for the move into turn 6. And Salas was, I think, trying to get the crossover move there. Didn't need to do it in the end. Was that big mistake from Torres, but he's back on the back of Robert Hartley and could be close enough, should be close enough for a move down here to turn 2.
Hartley, meanwhile, just slid up the racetrack and just opened up second. They're also fighting just in on your screen right now and in multiple positions on the track. We're off back to that Torres and Hartley situation where Torres now is closed up about 2 car lengths on the exit of turn number 3. And because of that mistake from Torres, that group we were talking about in 3 cars and the other 3 looking to close up, it's made it a 6-car choo-choo train for the race lead.
As soon as Torres gets to Salas again, it's going to close them all up once more. And now I'm really wondering when we're going to see the first drivers dive down into pit lane and get their service done, because if you can remove yourself from this little train of cars that are all holding each other up and do a lap or 2 on your own in clean air, you could find a huge gain. Hartley.
Yeah, Hartley a little bit dicey that time for the corkscrew. It is a blind corner essentially with that steep drop. And note there is some sand that's kicked up on the racetrack since the beginning of practice. That might also make it a bit difficult on that part of the track. No one elects to pit though in this group.
This is 6-car train, Clifford Eben, the final car in this battle for the lead. They're all lapping pretty much the same, with the exception of Torres, who was 4 tenths per second quicker than Salas last time by, and the gap visibly closing now as they go through each and every single corner on this track.
Let's go and take a look at the second choo-choo train. That's for P number 8 on back. Fernandez, he's been a heck of a scrap with David Cobb, with Adam Merak, as well as Jonas Seeger, who's looking to earn some points today. Those drivers have gone back and forth in this group a couple different times. It's been pretty intense for points today, to say the very least, Ryan, especially since for some drivers, this has been their best chances to earn some today.
Yeah, that smaller field means some of the drivers that sometimes are lapping in the 20s or even the low 30s find themselves in a position to gain some points, and when only the top 15 gain points, 1 point could move you up 15 to 20 spots from the standings.
Battle for the race lead. Side by side into the corkscrew. Torres sends it in, able to make the run on Salas. Salas gave it to him as Torres got the better run down the Rahal straight, and now he's in the lead for the first time. The question is, can he hold on to it in terms of the race? He's already pulled away a car length and a half on the exit of turn number 9 in the run to turn 10.
And Salas comes down into pit lane straight away, and he is the only driver to do so from this lead group. So Salas has an opportunity here to put himself in some clean air and find some time, unless he comes out in traffic. That's the big risk you play by pitting early. You could come out in traffic and really ruin your race.
He is now getting into his service on the track. So we'll see how this will all shape up. Again, the pit window was open with Salas. He missed his pit, had to back up his race car. That's going to lose him a little bit of time for the 27 machine. And he is taking right side tires, as you see up on your screen. How long will be the services? The question, 16.5 seconds overall as he's off and away.
Overall, I don't think he lost too much time from that, but it's definitely a mistake that he wouldn't have wanted to make. Robert Hartley looks like he's closed up a bit on Torres on this lap. I wonder if Torres is just suffering from a bit of the old, you go faster when you've got someone in front of you. Sometimes you find yourself going a little bit faster, you hit your marks better because you've got that reference point, but then when you're off by yourself and you've got no one in front of you, sometimes you can just sort of lose a little bit of that edge.
Well, he also doesn't have the draft effect either. Here's the thing, though, too. Hartley's got, in counter reaction, the potential of aero to worry in the corners. You can see him dealing with it just a little bit in some of these sections. These two staying out this time by. Brandon Hawkins just pit, though, as he's now diving it into the very tough pit entry. One thing to note with this entry, you're basically going to have to slam on the brakes to make sure you make that corner, or else you'll go straight into a tire barrier.
And we've seen that many a time at this racetrack. It's incredibly tricky to get right when you're trying to find every last little tenth of a second. Running Auckland, got that 1 inch perfect as well.
There is a fight shaping up, meanwhile, in that second train we talked about. They're side by side for what is now P7 and 8. Cobb is trying to get the run back on Seeger at the moment, as the leaders try and pull away. As you can see, Seeger gets the crossover back. Cobb overshot the corner in the Andretti hairpin. So Jonas Seeger has been on the move today. He started the race 10 positions further back where he is right now on the grid, having a stellar day today in that A51 racing machine.
Yeah, he certainly is, and there's definitely chance for maybe a top 5 or 6 finish, maybe a 6th place. Adam Merrick is just in front of him on the racetrack. Fernandez is there too, but he is looking quite fast out there. Top 4 though is 14 seconds up the road.
Indeed, right now, as they keep on focusing up on the task at hand. Right now, the gap between the lead pack, by the way, and second on back, in the second group on back, 16 seconds at the moment. And right now, the top 2 of Hartley and Torres along with Sharp and Evan in third and fourth, have stayed out this time by, we should know. Let's take a look at those right now, because they are trying to work together to close up a little bit at the time. Right now, though, as they cross by the stripe, as the times pop up, 139.9 and 7 for the cars in front, 141.2 for Sharp, 140.6 for Evan. They're losing time in third and fourth.
Yeah, they are. And even didn't look like he wanted to make the move because he was almost pushing James Sharp into the final corner. Opted not to have that lunge down the inside, but if he is trying to work with him and push him to go a little bit faster, it's not really working because that is a huge time loss. It's about a second and a half. Oh, there's a mistake for Torres. He ran wide coming through turn number 4. Luckily, he's retained the lead of the race, but Hartley, if he was just a couple car lengths closer, would have been through.
You're looking as the battle continues to shape up here. Can Hartley try and get the run, or will he wait until after the pit stop? No, he doesn't get the run he's looking for down the Rahal straight. He is trying to match slipstream for slipstream, line for line, later braking this time to the corkscrew. So Torres taking it much more safe for that part of the racetrack compared to Hartley, who's trying to send it a little bit deeper to try and carry some more speed and close the gap.
Speaking of closing the gap, Clifford Eben couldn't possibly close it anymore to James Sharp. He's about the... And again there, so he's decided not to go by him. Not sure whether the strategy's working out for him, whether he's trying to save some fuel or something like that, because they're not getting any time at all on the 2 leaders. It's about a paper width between them coming through the corkscrew towards turn number 10, and they're heading down the main straight. It's opened up just a little bit more. That's because Eben jumped on the brakes and gave him a little tap before the braking zone for 11, just to relieve some of the pressure on James Sharp.
Some of the drivers in train number 2 have just pit. For those wondering about where Vicente Salas is, he is currently on the track in turn number 11, about to move back up to P11. He'll pass by these two, one of the machines you're watching along now, in those headlights to the right side, to the left side of your screen. So the gap right now between them and the leaders, 37 seconds, as you see everyone in the second group starting to make their way into the pit lane.
That battle we talked about, well, I mentioned with Jonas Seca earlier, he has closed up to Adam Marek, so 6th place is well and truly inside. He might be close enough for a move into turn 5, but Marek's going to go just a little bit defensive, moves the car over just a car width on entry to the corner. And Sega's going to have to work hard for this one. He's got, as well, behind him, David Kolb, who's gone with him in the pursuit of 6th place. So if he doesn't get this done quickly, he's going to have to watch out as well from an overtake from behind.
Looking at this battle right now, as Marek trying to lead this group into the corkscrew. Again, they're slowly reeling in Fernandez as this is all shaping up. They did lose time last time by with some of the shuffling. This time a higher arc for Seeger. Kolb falls in the hole. And it looks like the 7 car is up to P number 7 for the time being. Again, these drivers have to pit. We'll see if they elect to go this time. Yes, they do. At least 2 of the 3. 3 of the 4, I should rather say. The 77 of Marek did stay out on the track. We also did see Hartley, Torres, Sharp, and Eben all come out down this time by.
Clifford Eben's pit entry was a little bit sketchy. He pretty much cut the little corner in the pit entry and got a bit sideways as he did so. Oh, what an exit between Torres and Hartley. They're side by side. They're going to have to sort that out. Hartley will take the lead of the race away from Mondomes Torres. And that is a great pit stop for Hartley.
And Halmay will now try and focus up again. Bit of a worse run off the pit lane. Had to check up a bit to try and make sure he didn't go off in the sand. They come out just in front of Brandon Hawken and Clifford Eben. We also have Simon Appolding, who is still yet to pit in the mix of the lead cars. Vicente Salas, though, he came out a couple seconds behind these drivers. He just passed by Appolding. He's in 8th position at the moment. Scored in total 5 seconds behind the race leader. The net race leader, rather. And that mistake and difference in pit stint might have been a big difference here to be able to catch up with these drivers up in front.
Yeah, that strategy's not quite worked out for him. Brendan Hawken has benefited, or at least stayed static from his early pit stop, though. He's now sat there in front of Clifford Eben. James
Oh, Sharp
Sharp,
just got hit by a Paulding.
and he found the fence.
A Paulding broke himself, essentially, and hit the back end of Sharp. Sharp was able to still make the corner, but it was a hard amount of contact entering the corkscrew from that VRS logoed machine. You'll see it up on your screen. He was able to just get by him, and then you'll see the kaboom entering the first part of the corkscrew.
I think he actually got away with it with pretty light contact in the end. As he outbroke himself, he pulled that car to the right, and Sharp was just getting the car into turning in phase, so just about escaped without much contact at all in the end. And Paulding went on to find the fence through the corkscrew as well. Completely misjudged that one.
Indeed. And now his car's in. He does have the fast repair available. There is 2 available for this round. So he does get a fresh car, and off and away he goes. Should note the race lead gap is currently about 1.5 seconds between Torres and Hartley. Hartley looking to run away on the racetrack as that car makes its way off the pit lane. P8 has turned into a big battle, though. This is where the 84 of Signoretto has sorted himself out. However, he's got Anthony Burrows, Jonas Seger, along with many others hungry for positions, including side-by-side battling.
And all 4 of these drivers are looking a little bit aggressive here. As here goes Burrows trying to find the inside. He's off the track. All 4 tyres through the dirt. A good save. He was pushed off pretty much by Fernando Signoretto, who was doing everything he could to keep him behind. And now he's gone wide through the corkscrew. Rejoins very awkwardly. And they're 3 wide. And Burrows somehow finds his way through.
And Cobb nearly crashed the car in the second part of that battle. Mark was able to keep it going. Trumbull. Meanwhile, we just had Largo come in, so the lead has officially cycled up to Hartley by 2.1 seconds. You're still following along with the 8th place battle as Signoretto continues to get cycled down the running order from that mistake from the corkscrew. With that, it's put Burrows up to P number 8 and Seger up to P number 9 amongst the shuffling.
And Largo is going to rejoin just off the back of this little battle group 2, just coming out of pit lane now. In fact, he's going to rejoin right behind Jonas Seger there in 9th place. So that's another car into the battle group, and it seems as if Signoretto is struggling quite a lot right now, while Manuel Fernandez is starting to close in on the back of this group as well.
And Fernandez looking to gain some points in that machine. He's one of the drivers running with Martin Solari logos on his 91 machine today. As these cars continue to shuffle out, the battle's now heating up for P8. Seger trying to set things up potentially for the Ray Hall straight. Gives a little bit of a shot this time, but Burrows gets the better run regardless.
Oh, look at Emilio Largo trying to capitalize on the poor run from Seger. There was no room for him there. He had to back out of it. Roy Coimbra wanted to make an advantage from it too, but he couldn't do so. This is a really, really aggressive battle group here. And you just get that feeling something's going to happen here.
And Seger nearly hooked that car towards the left that time out of the rainy curve. Off to turn 11 once more. One car does pit. That's the 84 of Signoretto. He is coming down for a second pit stop. So something going on with that machine. Seger, meanwhile, looking to get the run to get to P8. Burrows' defensive line all the way to the wall. He moves back up to the right side to try and set himself up for the Andretti hairpin. Seger being conservative on the brakes this time. Has the preferred line, though, along the rumble strips as they stay side by side into turn number 3.
Burrows has got the preferred line for the next 2 corners and will clear Seger once more. Largo's looking very promising in third. position in this little group of cars. He's 9th overall. These guys are 27 seconds off the lead of the race, but putting on a show as if it was for the leaders. Seca now looks to the inside for turn number 5. Side by side, and he might just about clear Burrows. He's got a great exit, and Largo's going to push Burrows, actually, towards turn number 6, and Seca clears him and takes the spot away unless Burrows can find the crossover or a great run down towards the corkscrew, which he can't do.
Still trying to play defensively, though, this time. Up the Rahal straight. They're side by side behind them as Fernandez trying to hold on. Columbra able to hold on to the race car. A good move to keep both of those cars straight, and Fernandez able to make that pass to get himself into the top 10, looking to make the run on Largo now.
And Ishimaru's come through as well to go by Roy Coimbra just after Fernandez as well. So Coimbra's going backwards now. The Burrows has come down into pit lane.
P3 is starting to get things shaken up a bit because Hawken was just under attack from Clifford Evan. Evan tried to get by the Movado Sim Racing machine. However, Hawken was able to get the preferred line as you look on board with Clifford Evan as he follows along the racing line. They're getting really dicey, and they're losing now about a 3 to 4 tenths of a lap to Robert Hartley. Hartley ran a 1:39.6 last time by. They were in the 140s in this pack.
Torres just run a bit wide there, coming out of turn number 6. I wonder whether Hawken wants to have a look into the corkscrew around the outside. It's going to be brave and bold. He's going to go for the crossover as Torres goes a bit deep, and the just about sort themselves out, but he's still got an overlap into turn 9, side by side, and this is a little bit dicey. Clifford even gives a push to the back of Torres as well.
Torres slides, holds on to the position. Now Clifford Evans trying to go for the dive on the outside. Hawken has the preferred line, uses that turtle curve as they go side by side. Evan doesn't have the draft. Hawken does in this battle. Salas will also try and draft behind. Will he make it 3? No, he'll stay behind Clifford Evan as Hawken uses the draft of Torres to try and fight for 3rd position. Nearly make contact through the Andretti hairpin as they go squeezing along, but Evans got the preferred line for 3 and 4.
Hawken left him exactly enough room coming out of turn number 2. Great respectful racing between them, and even will take P3 away. And now he's got his eyes locked on Aldamas as Torres in 2nd place. They're 5.5 seconds off the lead of the race.
Yeah, and Hartley's just absolutely put in an blistering pace to get away from this group of cars, to say the very least. This group of cars, they're now trying to fight for as many points as they can get. Evan trying to hold on to the final podium spot. Hawken trying to follow on. Salas having to lift off the gas this time at the back end of the group. Will anyone try and send it to the corkscrew? No, those stay conservative with an estimated 2 to go this time by.
And Evans right up on the back of him. He's going to set that car up for a good run through turn 9. And he had to check up mid-corner to avoid getting into the back of Torres into turn 11. Trying to find the run down the little chute towards turn 11. Torres has gone wide, and Evans going to try to go around the outside, but Hawken is going to throw that car into the gap and go up the inside, and they'll go side by side down the main straight.
Torres tries to block down to the bottom. They're bump drafting on the outside line. This is phenomenal battling for 2nd place. Here comes Hawken trying to check up. Evan now rides the outside line. Can he get the grip to stick to try and clear by Hawken once more? Still has the preferred line. Salas using as much space as he can to take that line as well into turn number 3. Evan slides up into P number 3. They're still side by side for 4th.
Salas trying to take it away from Brendan Hawken, who just 2 corners to go looked like he was going to challenge for 2nd. This is sensational racing here. This is as good as it gets, and this series continues to put it on as Clifford even gets it up the inside of Torres into turn 6. It's probably the trickiest corner on the track. He decides not to. and Torres survives another corner, but he's under assault right now because Clifford Eben has got the eyes on, and once again he's going to try the outside of the corkscrew. Thinks better of it again.
Some insane battling here coming to the expected white flag. Eben with the better run off the corkscrew. Torres checks up a little bit this time as they go through turn number 9. Expecting to get the white flag potentially this time by with 1:20 seconds up on the clock. Salas has made the pass on Hawken, and James Sharp is into the picture. Robert Hartley, meanwhile, will come across the start and finish line with 1:08 seconds left. Final lap as they'll fight along for second on back, trying to get as many points as he can. Torres trying to keep his championship hopes alive.
Opts not to cover the inside for turn 2. Eben's not quite close enough there. Salas, and look at Eben. Fantastic mid-corner pace. Gets alongside him. He's on the wrong side of the track for the next 2 corners though, and Torres positioning that car beautifully. What about the crossover move from Clifford Eben? He tries it, he gets it, he's almost got the overlap into turn number 5 or turn 4, and he does keep the car there. Again, wrong side of the track. He's going to have to do it the hard way, go around the outside as Salas goes defensive, as Brendan Hawken tries to have a look around the outside, and Salas almost made it 3 wide.
Right now, Torres having to block 2 different lanes. Remember the last time they went side by side into turn number 6 down the Ray Hall straight? A car went wide. This time they made contact. Salas gets turned by Eben. Eben's off into the sand. Salas is into the wall. They still fight for second though, as the 2 Movado Sim Racing cars look to take advantage. Hawken to the outside, working his way on the corkscrew, getting loose as they work their way up towards the top. Hawken, will he try and go for the switchback in turn number 9 and 10? That's going to be the key question. Robert Hartley's coming towards the final corner as they fight for P number 2. Robert Hartley will come away with the victory in the second last round of the season as he crosses the stripe with the victory, while Brandon Hawken behind them will move up to P number 2. Moving Torres off the line, Torres trying to stay on the podium. Instead, he'll finish in P number 3, sandwiched by the 2 Movado Sim Racing cars on the pylon. Clifford Eben finishes in 5th in the crazy battling. P number 8 has also been crazy. They have been going back and forth. Marek is trying to hold on to what could be one of his best runs. It's 7th place for him after some of the crashes in the previous battle. He will hold on to that position. Largo P number 8, Fernandez P9, Columbra in P number 10. Jonas Seeger will come home in P number 12 behind Prado.
Isn't that a feel?
Unfortunate for him, but Burrows looking to try and hold on to the final point spots in P number 14 and 15. He'll come out of the final corner and take home P14, a +5 for him, a +13 for Hubert today. And Seeger will not make any points here today. Unfortunately, ran out of fuel before the...
I think he ran out of fuel on the first half of the lap, coming through turns 2, 3, and 4. He underfueled that car by quite a bit, and lost out to all those drivers that he was battling with. And this is Jonas Seeger inching towards the line. He's not going to get there. In fact, the car is now starting to roll backwards in live pictures as the track does head uphill there. And I don't think he's going to benefit from being pushed like we saw last week out with DJ Alessandrini.
As Seeger rolls his way down the hill, we'll take a step aside, but stick around. The -273 post-race show is coming up after these messages. take a look at the turning point presented by Turn Racing. And it has to be that battle we've seen between second on back. In the end, that had fireworks though, where Vicente Salas and Clifford Evan made contact heading through turn number 6 on the run up to the Ray Hall straight here, Ryan. Crazy battling to end off that race. Unfortunate the way it ended.
It is, and Salas has been really unlucky this season with similar incidents happening, and even trying to fend him off. He was on the outside line for turn 6 after trying to attack Torres, turned in just a fraction of a second too early, catching the right rear of Vicente Salas' machine, both of them spinning off, and Salas unfortunately finding the fence and DNFing from the race as a result. But that sealed the fate for Brendan Hawken, who came through and took P2 away from Torres in the final corner.
Indeed, that was your turning point presented by Turn Racing. Merge the gap between SimSport and Motorsport with Turn Racing. Turn provides a wide variety of steering wheels to suit any and all your needs. From advanced sim racing wheels to practical street wheels, they'll surely have something for you. Check them out at turnracing.com. With that, let's head into the -273 post-race show coverage here on the Global SimRacing Channel. First with your unofficial race results. Robert Hartley came away with the victory today by 9.7 seconds over Brandon Hawken, while Torres came home in third. Sharp and Evan rounded out the top 5. Ishimaro, he pulled away from that second pack, made a move to get by those drivers, then ran away by 6 seconds to get to P6. Lark came home in 7th, Largo in 8th, Fernandez in 9th, and Columbra rounding out the top 10.
Andres Prieto finishing in 11th. Thomas Geiser up 12 spots to finish in 12th place. Anthony Burrows was involved in that battling just in the middle of the pit stop phase, finished in 13th in the end. Hubert came up 13 spots to finish in 14th, ahead of Oliver Viroli in 15th. Building home in 16th despite that big incident at the corkscrew. Sabelski home in 17th, ahead of Kadiri, Velasquez, and Vicente Salas classified a lap down in 20th after that last lap clash.
After running out of fuel, Jonas Seeger, who was in the fight for one of his best results this season, instead finished 21st, running out of fuel. Just about 50 feet away from the line is where his car went in laid rest. Margola finished in 22nd. Signoretto took a second stop and parked the car 5 laps down in 23rd. David Cobb, he was involved in some incidents, but he was still in the fight for much of the race. Finished in 24th though in the end. Kenny Brady 25th, Van Owen 26th, Van Altstroll in 27th, Narik in 28th, pardon me, Kako in 29th, Anderson and Horsley round out the 31 drivers who were part of today's event. Now, Robert Hartley joins us here in the broadcast booth, and DJ Alessandrini said you were going to be a driver to watch today. After the pit stops, you ran away by 9.7 seconds. How does it feel, first off, to take home the victory?
It feels great. That was a good run. It's not often you get a chance to break away like that in this league, and so I'll take it.
First of all, how did you break away as well as you did after that pit stop sequence? Because you and Torres had that strong race off the lane, and then you just ran away in that second part of the stint, second part of the race round.
Yeah, it came down to the corkscrew right before the pit stop. He made a little mistake, and it gave me that track position that I needed to beat him out the pits. And it was real close coming out the pits, and I was able to just put my head down and get a little gap, and then it got crazy behind me for a second, so just kept pulling away.
How difficult was it to be able to battle on this racetrack, or get around it rather, especially since you have the corkscrew, you have lots of chances, potential incident points? How difficult was it to keep the car on the track today?
Yeah, this track is one of the most challenging I think you'll come across, so it's really difficult. I like it. It suits me. I was glad to see it wasn't a draft-dependent track and we could race, but it was a lot.
Now, entering the final round, we should note that you're in a great position, to say the very least, for the championship. Coming into Summit Point for the season finale, your thoughts entering that race and that racetrack?
just try to put in that good qualifying and get myself up front. That's going to be another crazy race. If I can't get out front and try to break away, then I'll try to sit back like I did here and sit back in second or third and save a little fuel and tire and get ready for the final stint.
Is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your victory today?
Yeah, just thanks to all the guys that participate in the league and make it what it's turned out to be.
Congratulations, Robert, on your third victory of season number 4.
Thanks, guys.
That's Robert Hartley coming home with the W today here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Ryan Jones is now standing by with their second place finisher, Brandon Hawken.
Brandon Hawken, congratulations. Second place today. The seas parted for you on the final lap with a contact in front of you with Clifford Eben, Vicente Salas, and then a sensational move to the inside of Juan Domas. Torres, talk us through that move.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was that was a pretty crazy battle for second there. I ended up in I think it was 5th there or something at the end. So I was just hoping like they get side by side and I could make a run. But yeah, unfortunately, those two got together and the seas kind of parted for me, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, that was a great battle between the 4 of us and or actually 5 of us and. Yeah, that was just a great time. Congrats to Robert too. He pulled away after the pit stops there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic battle to watch from up here in the booth. In terms of your strategy for the race as well, you pitted before, or a few laps before, most of the drivers you were battling. Did you have any concerns fuel-wise, or were you hitting a number and just pretty much comfortable all race?
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable. I actually didn't really look at the fuel. I just set my crew chief to set it automatically, and then yeah, I was just kind of driving. I was a little bit worried about it last week, but yeah, this time I just I didn't even bother. I just kind of drove, and luckily had enough. But yeah, I came in a lap early there just to try and get some laps by myself. For the most part, it was pretty successful, I guess. I also kind of wanted to stay out just to catch back up to the lead pack too. So yeah, I wasn't really sure what to do, but I chose to come in, and it worked out all right. So.
Well, you did a brilliant job there, and we're just looking at the championship battle. You're in a close battle for 4th place in the championship. Have you got a aspiration to finish 4th, or are you happy to just come over the top 5, 6th place? What are your goals heading into the final round, next race?
I'd love to finish 4th. That'd be great. Yeah, considering the season so far, it seems like pretty much every race we've been involved in an accident. But hopefully, we can make a late charge to 4th place. That would be really.
Well, look forward to seeing how you go next time out. Before we let you go, any sponsors and shout-outs you want to give?
Well, of course, I'd like to thank my teammates at Thrustmaster Bravado Racing for all the help they did, or all of our teamwork, and we just did the 24, which was pretty cool. Had a really good time there, and James had a really good race this time. He had a lot better luck, and he drove a great race. So good stuff for him. And I just want to share my condolences with Williams Esports and Martin's family and everybody who's close to him. We lost a really good one. And yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for providing the action out on the track. We'll see you next time. And Justin, what a race.
What a race indeed. And what a post-race show today here, presented by Minus 273. Minus 273, whether it's on the real track or the virtual track, has one goal in mind: to produce the best racing gloves to get the job done with unmatched comfort and durability as well as style. Their gloves will leave your old ones in the dust. Find out how they can help you by visiting minus273.biz. Ryan, your quick final thoughts before we say goodbye tonight.
Well, no matter what track we go to, no matter what style of racing we see, this series continues to provide fantastic action and incredible racing, and can't wait for next week at Summit Point at track. Certainly no slipstreaming fest, but some tight racing we'll see there. Hard to make an overtake of that track. It should be a fantastic race, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well to see how the season finale goes, but we'd like to thank GTR Simulator, Sim Racing Studio, SHH Shifter, Turn Racing, and Minus 273 for sponsoring today's racing action, as well as the series title sponsor, Exceed. We'd also like to thank series organizer Clifford Evan for organizing what has been an eventful series. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for a broadcast listed up on your screen now. An additional thanks to Jude Lalonde, who provides her wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a more hold of her great work. Thanks to the team today in Ryan and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storenvy.com. Or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. The final race of the season is at Summit Point. Be sure to tune in at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. It should be a thriller at that racetrack. We also have upcoming races for other series listed up on your screen, so check those out as well and mark them down in your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.